Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devil Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe, even leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Anthony Totri, joined on this weird Wednesday by Shane Diefenbach, Shawn DePaz. Gentlemen, how you doing? Happy hump day.
What's poppin'?
What's up, guys? How y'all feeling?
Feeling like there's going to be an upset in Stillwater this weekend. That's how I'm feeling.
I was just slurping down some ramen right before we went live.
Nice. Totri, dude.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, make that face as if what are you putting in your mouth after that softball game? Okay, Totri.
Yeah, Totri, why are you wearing shades right now?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Got to block out the haters sometimes. That's what I'm doing.
Well, you're not blocking out the ring light.
Lights.
Or the computer in the Madden League.
Can we talk about the fact that, listen, whoa, we're just immediately going to come for my neck 2 minutes
Yeah, we are.
I mean, if you're going to lose to the computer,
so let's preface the people. So we did our Madden League draft last night.
I already know this is going to be bad.
And Totri opened up with a CPU, his first game, and you were able to play the game starting last night. So my man decided to play the game last night.
Yeah, got a little overzealous.
Normally wouldn't really care. It's on all Madden for a novice. It could be tough if you don't really know what you're doing. But Totri was just talking a bunch of smack before everything started, saying he's really good. He lost to a computer. I am no longer worried. I'm going to smack you. What is it?
Listen, man, it's not how you start. It's how you finish. We're going to go with the goal is to go 1-0 every week. You lose some, you win some. We're on to next week. Okay. We're on to the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay.
Sometimes you have to think about recess and how you're thankful.
Best thing ever invented.
You're thankful
for God, I forgot about that.
Your bagels. You think I'm just going crazy over here?
I'm like,
just start talking about recess for no reason.
And I'm like, oh wait, that's a hermism. We're going to talk about recess.
Are we hermit crabs?
Hermit crabs?
Ooh, if they beat Stillwater, I'm a hermit crab.
If they beat Stillwater, they're going to beat the whole.
If they beat the whole city,
they ransack the city. They claim it. They stake up an ASU flag right in the middle of the city.
Sparky's literally going to come alive and stomp on a bus. Nobody in there, of course, because he's not that evil. But
it's more of a sign of power. It's not necessarily an act of
just to claim it. They don't even want it.
Totri wearing his sunglasses. It's just a sign of power. Doesn't really do anything.
Well, I mean, DJ Toady Tote. That's what we're doing over here. Okay.
Are we in the same building?
Maybe not.
Maybe.
I mean, in a way, we're all in the same building. If you think about the atmosphere,
the vessel that is life.
Yes.
Once again, I beg the question: Why does nobody build a house outside?
I don't know.
I'm actually, I don't even know how to follow that up. To be honest with you, let's talk ASU-Oklahoma State for a second.
Yeah, why
not? So we talked a little bit about it yesterday. We talked to some more of the players today. We got the chance to talk to Emery. We talked to Glenn Thomas. We talked to Kyle Soley. And the message was kind of the same across the board. A lot of these guys were, I don't want to say they were looking past NAU to Oklahoma State, but it was something that they're like, okay, we just got to take care of business here, and then we'll move on to the real test. It's time to really start the college football season this week. They understand it's going to be a hostile environment. And that's something that they talked about, right? Like Stillwater is going to be packed for this ASU game. But a lot of these guys have played in big-time games and big-time environments. So the message to a lot of their teammates that haven't, or some of their younger guys on the team, is embrace opportunity, right? Embrace being hated for, the 4 quarters, because that's exactly what it is going to be. they are going to be heckled. They're going to be yelled at. They're going to be whatever. And a lot of these guys, Emory included, are absolutely like chomping at the bit waiting for it. Really, like this is the moment that NAU game ended. The press conference started and Emory Jones was already talking about like he can't wait to get to Stillwater. Like those are the games he lives for. So that's going to be something that's super exciting. Now, turning your attention to the opponent itself, we'll start with Spencer Sanders, one of the best in the nation. He's a veteran guy. He's a dual threat guy. What concerns you about Spencer Sanders looking at the ASU defense?
Shawn, you go first.
I mean, honestly, just his like composure, I guess. I mean, like you said, he's a veteran. He's got a veteran presence, and just the fact that, like we talked about it on the audio show yesterday, just the fact that they run such a fast tempo offense, like he obviously knows how to control that. So I think it's just that and his versatility. Obviously, he's capable of running if he needs to. It just adds like a whole other kind of wrinkle that we obviously didn't really see against NAU. It's just this is their first real test. Obviously, NAU was not a test. Like this is I don't know if there's any one thing in particular that concerns me because we haven't seen ASU's offense against quite frankly, a real quarterback yet. But just, how experienced he is against a defense that we have to see what kind of chemistry they have. He could easily pick them apart, especially if the secondary is not on the same page. So I think that's probably what concerns me the most.
Yeah, it's veteran presence, it's composure, because what scares me is the stat line. I know it was CMU, and I know the defense isn't great, but I mean, even against a computer in Madden, throwing for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns with no interceptions is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So
something I couldn't do last night.
So it's going to be fun to see because obviously NAU not on Spencer Sanders' level and Oklahoma State's level in terms of vertical threat offense. Obviously, this is kind of our primer. Yesterday was the primer to the primer. Friday will be our full recap. So I'm going to go ahead and watch some film and bring up some stuff actually scheme-wise. But yeah, just from a pure like immediate reaction standpoint from this game, it's the decision making. You have to capitalize, if any, on the mistakes that they make.
Yeah, 100%. And it doesn't bode well for ASU, at least as we sit on Wednesday looking at the depth chart. Right now, Jordan Clark, Ed Woods, still both listed on the injured list. We talked about how Tamarcus Davis did get back in the lineup, did get back in the depth chart, plugged in kind of as a starting guy in that defensive backfield. It's still TBD on if Jordan Clark is going to play or not. I would probably lean toward he's going to obviously do everything that he can to get out there, but I would say it's probably a game time decision. Josh, don't even start with me right now. Josh talking about Madden. He's in my division. I don't want to hear it. We'll get to that later, boss. But it definitely doesn't bode well that the fact that you got to go up against one of the best quarterbacks in the nation who just finished putting 58 points on a Central Michigan team that's not great, without 2 guys that are contributors, right? Ed Woods is not necessarily Jordan Clark or Tamarcus Davis or Torrance, but he's a guy out there that's a part of the rotation. He's a guy that definitely gets good reps, and he's a guy you'd like to have out there, especially against Spencer Sanders.
I'm excited because obviously we talked about it yesterday. Donnie, kept it pretty vanilla. But I wonder how they're going to play, if they're going to play as the aggressor or if they're going to try to keep everything in front of you. If you guys had to choose which one would bode better for the Sun Devils in Stillwater, would you want them to rush the passer and play a lot of man, try to jump routes, or do you want like a too high, keep everything in front of you kind of mindset?
I feel like you have to be aggressive. I feel like Oklahoma State's a better team. So the only way that you're going to really win this game is if you force them to make mistakes, or you take advantage of whatever you can. Basically, I think they need to be aggressive, try and make Spencer Sanders as uncomfortable as they can. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about, he's obviously a veteran, so it's going to be pretty hard. Bees breaking news: Emory Jones just won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, Bees is from the future.
Yeah, apparently. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be hard to make him uncomfortable. But if you can, that's the best way. You're going to give you the best chance to win. I don't think you can really do that by sitting back and keeping everything in front of you. I think he's just going to kind of pick you apart methodically if that happens.
We also talked about yesterday that the dogs weren't allowed to hunt. They were rushing 4 at most almost every time. I think I saw 1 or 2 linebacker blitzes, if that, in the NAU game. I wonder if we talked about stunts yesterday. From a scheme perspective, even if you drop, 7 into coverage and you send 5 only, I wonder if that's going to add a difference, because if your pass rushers can just get home 3, 4, 5 times in the game, I mean, I wouldn't mind keeping everything in front of you. And again, they obviously can't run the ball very well. We saw them trying to close out the game, or they can't play conservative, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, I would keep everything in front of you until it gets too late and you kind of have to. But for the most part, I trust the guys up front to be able to make a difference.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Shawn. I mean, I see both sides of the coin here, but I think with a team that is, number 11 in the country, you're on the road. The environment is going to be hostile, and they do have, I would say that Oklahoma State's offense is superior to the ASU defense. So with that in mind, looking at Spencer Sanders' career at Oklahoma State, which is a lengthy one, he struggles in terms of consistency. And how do you screw with someone's consistency? You get him uncomfortable, just like Shawn said. You get him moving around in the pocket. I know he's a dual threat guy, but you start to hit this guy, especially early in that game. Like, I fully expect if Oklahoma State starts to pick apart that ASU defense early, it's going to be exactly what Herm said, like at the end of spring, early fall camp in terms of Donnie. Like, fuck the card. We're just going at him. Like, that's I could fully see that happening. And then to what you said, Shane, like there is a point to that too, especially if ASU is able to contain Spencer early, then maybe they don't need to. Maybe they don't need to be as aggressive as Shawn and I think.
Yeah, and I'm not saying bend don't break. Joe in the chat saying that. I hate that. Trust me, that is not my mentality. I'm a big fan of, bend and then snap. Bend until you're not don't let them get to the red zone and then don't break. I'm saying break on the ball. That's when you break. Find your spots. Maybe you send 4 for the first set of downs, and then all of a sudden, Ro Torrance is coming off the edge on a corner blitz or something creative. Like, get creative. Don't stay content. So yeah, I think we just haven't seen what this defense can do yet. And obviously we're really excited to, so it's hard to speak on it. We don't really know exactly what they're going to be, how much they're going to be sending, if at all. So we'll see come Saturday, but
that's my big thing. If this defense is fully capable of getting to the quarterback without being like hella aggressive, whether it's 4 or 5 rushers, then obviously I think that's the preference. I just don't know, because like we said, we don't really know what the defense is capable of. They obviously didn't do it much against NAU, but that's probably more by choice than ability. But even if they were able to, this is a significantly better team, presumably a better offensive line. So if they're capable of getting there without being super aggressive, then I think that has to be your strategy, right? Like, you don't. This, like I said, this is a guy that can pick you apart if you give him the opportunity to. So if you're making mistakes on the defensive end because you're being too aggressive, then this game's going to be over before it even starts.
Yeah, and this is going to kind of be the game to give us the breaking point, or just kind of be able to see where we can put the pin on the season, right? Because this is one of, a bunch of games that they've got coming up where they're going to be up against some of the best offenses in the nation, right? You've got Spencer Sanders and Oklahoma State, who dropped 58. Then you've got Utah with Cameron Rising, who I know they dropped that game to Florida, but Cameron Rising is a good quarterback. That Utah team is definitely a challenge. And then you look at USC, who we saw what they did against Rice. We'll see what they could do against Stanford this week. But, they got Caleb Williams. They got Jordan Addison. Like, it's not going to be easy for ASU these next couple of weeks. Outside of Spencer Sanders, the Oklahoma State run game isn't the greatest in the world, so we don't really need to touch on that too much. But I do want to touch on their wideouts, because they do have some talented pass catchers. You look at senior Braden Johnson. He has been a part of the Oklahoma State program since 2018. We were in college still at this point. Like, he has been there forever. He hasn't been a guy that's put up a lot of numbers over the course of the last few seasons. However, last week he had 6 catches, a $133, and a touchdown. Definitely his best start to any of his seasons so far at Oklahoma State. So he's definitely going to be a guy that can present some challenges. The other guy on Oklahoma State to watch out for on the offensive side of the ball, Brennan Presley, 83 yards on 5 catches last week. He didn't find the end zone, but he is a guy who I believe put up 50-plus catches last season for Oklahoma State. So him and Spencer Sanders definitely have a little bit of a connection. He's more of a dynamic receiver. If you had to pick between the two, which one would you like to see? If we're going man and you're like, okay, you're following him, which one do you want to shut down?
I don't know if there's a right answer. Like
both of them.
I first of all, I hope these corners are good enough to play man. That'd be really fun. That's the dream. We said the dream earlier was only sending 4 and getting pressure. No, the dream is bringing pressure and getting a coverage sack, or not a coverage sack, but just not getting beat. That would be the dream. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the receivers are the focal point. Yeah, they're good, but Spencer Sanders is the head of the snake, and you got to cut that off early, man.
Yeah.
Control the clock, protect the football. Bees, I agree.
Yeah, that's 100%. I just don't know if that's going to depend on. I feel like Oklahoma State is smart enough to just load the box, and if they lose the game, they're going to put it in Emory's hands.
But loading the box beat them. Loading the box does not beat this run game. Loading the box does not beat a run game where you can run the option or an RPO with a scrambling quarterback like Emory. Loading the box doesn't beat a play action pass where Messiah Swinson can run the seams. Like I'm not convinced that'll work. Like if they game plan correctly, you protect the ball and you suck the life out of a stadium. If you go up 7-0, then get a stop and then you start milking the clock, even if it's in the first quarter. Yeah. People get bored. That's how you take people out of the game.
Yeah. I mean, like Shane said, I feel like you're not going to be able to shut down. And I think they had 4 receivers that had over 70 yards receiving last week, something like that.
3 or 4.
There was, I think Spencer Sanders has been there so long that if you shut down anybody, somebody else is going to get that production. Like I don't think there's any really slowing down the receiving game in that regard. It's just slowing down Spencer Sanders. If you're making me choose one of the 2 guys that you mentioned, I'm probably going to say the one that got into the end zone, because how do you beat a team? By not letting them score. But yeah, Spencer Sanders is the key here. That's the only way I think you stop these receivers, is if you stop him.
Yeah.
B's talking about mud fights. Funny,
make it dirty.
But true, because ASU has been known, especially in the past under her, to play to other people's games. Like the UCLA game was an example that was an omission, because they won that game, but it was a strange game. DTR looked early like they were going to control that entire game last year. BYU is another good example. You almost got away with it until the fumble by Merlin. Utah, same thing. Utah, you controlled the game at the start, and then you started getting content with allowing the run game to progress. And then it was like, we're playing Utah's game now. Like that can't happen. So you can't get in a shootout with these guys.
No, they'll lose. They'll lose because it comes down to shootout.
Because they're Cowboys. But yeah, you can't do that either because they're a good offense. I'm sorry.
Love it. Absolutely. No, you know what? It's fair. Switching over to the defensive side of the ball, there's a couple guys that could present some problems, especially for the run game. Don't want to get too much into the defensive line. It is a veteran group. None that really jump off of like the stat sheet for me.
Can I make a prediction?
You can make a prediction.
Are you going to compare their safety to Kyle Hamilton?
I'm not going to compare him to Kyle Hamilton, but he is he's a big dude. For a freshman, 6'4", 205, Kendall Daniels, he is definitely a star in the making. He had 11 tackles and a pick last week. Again, I know it was Central Michigan, but this kid is going to be a special player in college football. And the last thing that you want is to get a young guy riled up on the defensive side of the ball early. Like you cannot, if I'm Emory Jones, it's not necessarily like playing away from this guy, but like, I feel like you want to test him early, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't start throwing it the other way because you think Kendall Daniels is he's not Darrelle Revis out there. Like test him. That's where I'm at. Like you got to test these younger defensive backs.
I'm excited to watch back the game because 11 tackles is a lot by itself, but from the safety position, that's pretty crazy. I know he's a strong safety. He's probably in the box a lot, but I also wonder if a lot of those tackles came from, routes up the middle where he was just like, oh, again, really? I have to tackle this guy again? But
he might be getting a lot of tackles on him when Messiah Swinson, if that's the case.
Yeah.
I would love to see that matchup, right? Like Messiah is obviously a big dude. This is probably the biggest defensive back that, he'll be up against all season long. Again, you're not going to find many 6'4" defensive backs. You bring up Kyle Hamilton, like he was 6'4", 6'5", like, so yes, similar height. I don't necessarily think they're the same player. I think Kendall Daniels is probably a little bit more leaning toward better in coverage, whereas like Kyle Hamilton was more of a run stuffing guy. Outside of Kendall Daniels, you look at Mason Cobb. He's a junior linebacker. He also had 11 tackles. He is a little bit on the smaller side, just I believe at 5'11" or 6 feet. But he is like, he's your run stuffer. So you're going to see him in X. You're going to see him in Daniel Ngata. Herm talked about it last week after the press conference. Like, when a team loads the box the way they did, and I know we keep bringing that up, but like there was a point last week where ASU didn't have enough guys, and Herm literally told X, he's like, look, everyone's got their man. This 8th guy is yours. You've got to make him miss. This is your guy right here. Mason Cobb is the guy that X, that Daniel, George Hart, Tevin White, whatever, are going to have to make miss. That's going to be the test for me. If they can make him miss, if they can truly embarrass him in Stillwater, I think that's how you win this game, right?
Yeah, I hope that's not the overall game plan, though, one-on-one. I mean, it would be nice to see him.
Give it to me. I'll take X one-on-one versus anybody on that defense.
But as I said, if they're loading 8 in the box and you keep pounding the rock, there's a problem, Herm Edwards.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
it is.
If he can make him miss and he can be effective in this rush attack in general can be effective, I think ASU wins the game. I mean, B's mentioned it in the comments, like slowing the pace down. We talked about it in the audio show yesterday. They're so fast paced. If you can just keep pounding away,
play your game, man.
You keep pounding away, milk the clock, get the Oklahoma State offense out of their chemistry. Let your defense rest. ASU is going to be a tough team to beat if they're able to do that effectively. Yeah. I mean, it's just obviously a matter of time to see whether or not they're going to be able to do it effectively, but I think that they can. And if they do, I think ASU wins.
Again, lesser opponent, but go back and watch the first drive last week. Obviously ended in 3 points because the play calling got really weird and because they were just so confident in their running backs.
They ran it on like a 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 6, right?
They ran it 3 straight plays after they got inside of the red zone on 1st and 10. But go back and watch that drive. Aside from those last 3 play calls, that's what you want, you know? Yeah. There were some quick hitters, but it was slow. It was methodical. Yeah. One of the few teams that obviously huddles up and talks it out in college football. Like, you can really throw off the pace, and like it's comparable to like a volume shooter in the NBA. Like, if you don't let the Oklahoma State offense get on the field for 5, 6, 7, 8, even 8 minutes of game time, because you have a 15 play drive and they're all, you know, they're all got their completions or running plays. Like that's going to slow them down a little bit, especially if they've already gotten their first 1 or 2 drives in.
Yeah, Joe brings up an interesting point talking about Badger and Hall on reverses and jet sweeps. Like, we saw that, I think, just once in the NAU game with Charles Hall on that jet sweep that
20 yards.
20 yards, exactly right. So even if they're stuffing guys trying to run through the line, this is a whole other aspect of the offense that could be utilized significantly more than we saw against NAU. That could also be deadly.
I think Elijah Badger was 2 for 3 or 4 last year on touchdowns when he got the ball on an end around or a sweep. Like, I'm not even exaggerating.
No, and we see how fast and dynamic Charles Hall can be. So.
Yeah, Charles Hall and Badger side-to-side speed, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
A reverse, just, go Hall to Badger, Badger to Hall.
Toss it back to Emery and let him fire it. I'm here for it, man. Just get as weird as you can with the play calling.
Like in the Florida game, they did that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, we'll get into predictions later in the week, but is there like a number for you guys that, like, rushing yards, for example, like ASU needs to hit this number for me to feel comfortable going into the game?
I just don't know how they're going to play it. I don't know what their game plan is going to be. So I don't really like, if they are just stacking the box, dude, like it could be 70 rushing yards will win you the game because the final score is 17-13 because you played your game. Like, I think the biggest stat for me is time of possession. That's the biggest stat. If you win time of possession 60-40, I think that's a dub.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's
hard to
give it
17-13.
Yeah,
there's no way they're holding them to that small point.
I mean,
why not?
For the record, I agree with Saul. I don't think the score.
I don't think it's reasonable, but that's why I said that's you playing your game. That is the best case scenario for ASU.
No, I mean, it is. If this game is low scoring, ASU wins the game. Like you said, it's going to be hard to win a shootout with Oklahoma State, but if you can, like you said, play your game, I think ASU would win a low-scoring game. Not that they can't win a high-scoring game, but yeah, it's your original question, Totri. It's hard to put like a number on how many rushing yards exactly they get, but I think it's more like if you can average like 4 yards per rush, because obviously Ngata and X both average over 7 yards per rush last year. If you can get 3 or 4 yards per rush and you just keep pounding away at it, and like we said, play your game, slow down the pace, I think you're setting yourself up for success.
Shawn, you'll like this comparison that B's put in the chat. It's like a good MMA fighter. Put the aggressive fighter on the back foot, wrestle the flashy striker, wear him down, Usman style. Except let's not get head kicked at the end of the game.
Usman against literally everyone else other than Leon Edwards.
Look, this is going to be a game that you look at the Florida and Utah game from this past weekend, right? Florida unranked. I know it was in Gainesville, whatever. Utah, you could argue, was the better team. They were ranked number 7. They had Cam Rising, whatever. You want a game that is going to put you on the map or going to get people talking about you, get you votes to the AP Top 25. This is how you do it. You go into Stillwater, you beat Oklahoma State, and you start your run. Because nobody's going to be talking about Arizona State for the rest of the season. I don't care what they do after this game. If they lose to Oklahoma State or if they get blown out by Oklahoma State, everyone's going to be like, oh, it's another ASU team. They're going to cover the spread or backdoor cover, whatever. And it's going to be like, oh, okay, they made it close, whatever. But it's ASU. Like, they're going to find a way to lose it. This is how you change that narrative. You go into Stillwater and
you kick ass. You kick ass
against one of the best offenses in the country.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's all not hearing the conversation, just butting in when I said 17-13. That is not my score prediction. My score prediction will be much higher. And again, we will get to that on Friday. So
yes,
but for me, I don't even need them. I don't need them to dominate in like a 40-10 fashion, right? Like I don't need to see them blow out. I would rather see them control the game.
TLP, baby.
Honestly, if they can win a shootout, like that would give me more confidence than them dominating.
I don't want that though. Because
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Then you're back to last year where you're just playing with, okay, you guys want us to do this? Yeah, we'll play. Like it's just
but I think it would say a lot about the ASU.
Yeah, it would say a lot about Emory.
And Emory is able to pass his way into a victory. I think that says a lot about the offense.
It would certainly be more fun.
You know what this game is going to look like? And again, we keep saying score predictions at the end, and we'll get there on Friday. But do you remember that Texas Tech game against ASU when Patrick Mahomes came to town and that shootout and Kalen Ballage scored 7 touchdowns?
Yep.
Like, it's going to be I think it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be like, oh, it'll be low scoring in the first quarter, and then both teams are just going to go absolutely nuts. And you may have a guy score 4 or 5 touchdowns, and you're like, wait, what the fuck are these numbers by like ESPN? And like that just might be the case. ASU found a way, I believe, to beat Patrick Mahomes and that Texas Tech team, which is absolutely wild.
As long as it's not a Rashad Penny going for 400 yards total.
Oh my God.
6 touchdowns or whatever it was.
I mean, we haven't seen what this offense can do when they're trying to actually go.
We don't know what this team can do yet.
Yeah, at all. Like they took a couple of shots in the NAU game, but obviously, like we said, keeping it vanilla, whatever. If they open up the playbook and they start taking shots, we don't know what they're capable of. So, hey, maybe they can win in a shootout. We don't know.
We'll find out. We'll find out on Saturday. Again, ASU at Oklahoma State. And you guys can watch the game with us at 4 Peaks. It's going to be a blast, a little watch party over there with a massive television, definitely bigger than 60 inches. Starts at 3:30, free entry.
60 inches, actually.
Food and drink specials. Come out, come say hi, come watch ASU upset Oklahoma State. And while we're talking about 4 Peaks, you guys can enter to win the Toast of the Month sweepstakes. If you win, you're going to walk away with a $50 4 Peaks gift card, a PHNX shirt of your choice, and a PHNX annual membership. Go to gophnx.com or click on the link in the show notes. You do got to be 21 or older and enjoy responsibly. Boys, let's get into some Pac-12 Power Rankings.
Before we get there, first of all, before we get there, the link is in the chat for this event, and it's also in the description. Please come out. It's going to be so fun.
It's going to be a blast.
This is our first one at 4 Peaks. There will be more. Obviously, not only is the projector huge, but the deals are also huge. $3 beers. It's free to get in.
Wow, which might be their best beer.
Yeah, and the food
Wow is their best beer.
Yeah, the food is gas. It's just going to be a good time, and it's an away game. So
let's set the tone. Let's set the tone.
Yeah, if you're going to Stillwater, salute. But assuming most of you aren't. So if
I'm sorry for you if you're actually going to Stillwater.
No,
I mean, going to the game would be fun, but outside of that, I don't want anything.
I'd rather go to
Oklahoma. If ASU gets an upset, it'll be more fun to be with people. Like I think about the NHL draft and the moment when Shane Wright got passed on the #1 pick and everyone went crazy. Like the environment there when you're with a bunch of people and exciting things are happening like that, it's pretty fucking fun.
Yeah. There's
Definitely
no better
count.
feeling than watching sports with your friends. So
yeah,
and we are your friends and you are ours. Yes.
Family. There you go. Beautiful. Now can we do Pac-12 Power Rankings?
Yes.
Hey,
Let's get into some Pac-12 Power Rankings, baby. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. That the Pac-12 was on fire because some teams that were supposed to win decided they didn't want to win. Some teams that were supposed to be good got throttled. And some teams that we didn't really see, they came out of nowhere and decided that they are going to actually make some noise this season. So why don't we put up the Pac-12 Power Rankings that we've got, and let's see what the three of us have across the board. We'll start just going one by one. Shawn, I'm going to start with you. Kind of explain what you've got and where you've got it and why.
Yeah, so I mean, I personally kept Utah as my #1 team, like I did before the season. I think, like we said, the game was in Gainesville, and I think Florida should have started the season ranked. I think Anthony Richardson is one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the country. Plus USC, they played well, but they played against Rice. Like I just can't put too much stock into that game yet. The biggest risers for me, obviously, Arizona. Like we all had them ranked as the second worst team in the conference. They obviously aren't going to be that this year. Jaden Delora, Jacob Cowing, like that offense looked really good against against a San Diego State team that's not as good as they were last year, but it's still a good team and good program. And then I think the most interesting spot of my rankings is Oregon State. I moved them up to 3.
Yeah, damn, I don't hate it, man.
The defense is incredible. I was talking to Coach before the show. If you told me at the end of the season that Oregon State won the Pac-12, I'm not predicting it, but I wouldn't be surprised. That defense is.
You're not alone in that camp because on Twitter, actually, I've seen so many people responding to Pac-12 official account posts or reporters talking about the Pac-12 saying Oregon State is the dark horse.
Yeah, I mean,
so interesting.
The defense is incredible. Like, and we've seen with a lot of the quarterbacks in this conference that they're capable of making mistakes. Oregon State forced 4 or 5 turnovers against a quarterback who might be the best quarterback in the Mountain West and a Boise team that many projected to win that conference. So I think Oregon State's really good. Kept UCLA at 4, and then Oregon I dropped down. Oregon might be worse than Arizona State. I have no faith in Bo Nix. I think he might be a bottom 3-4 quarterback in the conference when he's playing the way he normally does. Obviously, he's capable of being amazing at times, and I know Georgia's a really good school, really good program. Not as good as last year, but they're still obviously a really good team. I just have no faith in Bo Nix, and quarterback play is just too important.
Yeah.
Kept ASU at 6. Everything at the bottom of the conference. Obviously, Colorado's obviously the worst team in this conference.
Probably they may be the worst team in college football.
Yeah, they are embarrassing. That Week 1 game was just really bad. And everyone else from 11 to 8, basically, kind of in flux. I think Michael Penix Jr. is a very good quarterback. He played well for Washington. Mm-hmm. Everything else just kind of a toss-up, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Shane, let's get to yours.
Yeah, Utah moving down just because USC and Utah were like a coin flip for me at the start of the year. I moved them up and down when we were making these rankings originally. Just one loss. I wouldn't say if USC and Utah played that I would take USC, but it just depends where the game is. I think Utah is superior at home. I think Utah is going to destroy people at home. The Swamp is not an easy place to play, as we said. Obviously, with the AP rankings, Florida should have been ranked. They moved very high. So yeah, USC, Utah 1-2. I'm not moving Oregon. Georgia's very good at football.
They are.
And look, I get your Bo Nix thing. I think him being a bottom 3 quarterback is crazy. But I understand why you would say that. I think he's going to feast on these Pac-12 defenses, and I think he's going to feast hard. I think Oregon's going to go on a run in Pac-12 play. Obviously, we talked about Oregon State. They're a sleeper. I moved them up 4 effing spots. They're my number 4 team. ASU stays at 5 for me. UCLA, look, sure, you can look at the final score and say whatever you want. If you watch that game, you would know why I'm saying this. Oh my God, nothing has changed from last year. I tweeted this out. It is DTR ball, and that is all you got. Sure, you might have some crossing patterns that go for 80-yard touchdowns, but for the most part, if DTR can't run, the game is over. I am just have no faith in this team. I almost put Arizona ahead of them. I just really dislike UCLA. And I thought last year when Arizona State beat them, they had no business doing so. UCLA just lost the game. Arizona State had made some good plays to take it, but I don't know. I don't believe in this team. Arizona, obviously, they're a lot better than we thought. Especially if they can keep this up. But we will see. We will see. They might be sliding down soon.
Yeah, Mississippi State. They got SEC action this week.
Yeah. Washington State struggling against Idaho. We're down big early. They ended up winning that game, but only by a touchdown. Washington looked okay. Stanford looked fine, but it was Colgate. And then Cal didn't look great at all. And then Colorado is just terrible.
You don't believe in Colorado either.
It's the right noise. They should just play that in the stadium every time they throw an incompletion. I forget what his name was, but their backup quarterback, he looked
JT Stroud.
He looked like not half bad, to be honest.
No, he should have honestly played the majority of the game. In my opinion,
but
Lewis coach said they're going to split.
Brendan Lewis
said they'll both play this week.
Yeah, Brendan Lewis sucks, but it was also like a comparison thing after he came in the game. It was because he came in the game right after Brendan Lewis is why he looked so much better. After that, he made some pretty risky throws. I don't think he likes throwing over the middle, and neither does Brendan Lewis. So I don't really know what you got in that team, man. CU is bad. Sorry, DMR.
They're not good, like at all. Getting to my power rankings for a second, I've still got USC at number 1. I mean, I like what they did. Yes, it's Rice. It's whatever. I'm really interested to see this coming week when they play Stanford, because I don't think Stanford is that bad of a team. I think their season kind of hinged on their quarterback, and I really like what I saw from Tanner McKee in week 1. I know, again, it was Colgate, like Shane mentioned, but he had a hell of a day. That's why I moved Stanford up
good.
three spots. He had a $194 quarterback rating, 22 of 27, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaged 11.4 yards per completion, which is nice. I didn't move Utah. I know they lost, and they lost the way they did with Cameron Rising throwing a pick on the goal line. But I still think, like both of you, I think that team is still going to be a dominant team. I think at the end of the year, they're still going to be in heavy contention for an AP top 25 spot for the Pac-12 title. I did move up UCLA a spot. I know that game was pretty ugly against Bowling Green to start, but Shane, like you said, DTR, he had himself a little bit of a day. He did throw the ball 43 times, which I don't think is necessarily something you can sustain throughout an entire season in college football.
This team is just not sustainable. It's just not.
But until I see that it isn't sustained, I think I got to move them up. Even with Oregon, yes.
So you think if Oregon and UCLA played, Oregon would lose?
I think so.
Wow, that is crazy. But
I really don't like Oregon.
That game might be. I don't think you could have like a worse matchup of
it's going to be an ugly one.
Take out Colorado, obviously. Like that game would be.
I just think Oregon would.
Disgusting.
I think Oregon would scream at UCLA. I think Oregon would dominate DTR.
Until Oregon scores a touchdown on the season, I can't say that they're going to beat anybody.
I just have so little faith in Bo Nix.
I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, I moved up ASU 2 spots. We all know what they did against NAU. I really, really was impressed with what Glenn Thomas and Donnie Henderson put together with not showing too much, still scoring 40 and not giving up a touchdown. Again, we brought it up yesterday. ASU, one of 9 teams in the FBS that didn't allow their opponent to score more or 7 or fewer points. Oregon State, I didn't move them up. I do like them as a team, and like both of you guys said, I could see this team being a sleeper in the Pac-12 come the end of the season. We already talked about Stanford, got Wazoo dropping a couple spots. U of A did definitely move up 2 spots. I really like what they can do. I'm interested to see what they got against Mississippi State. I know Mississippi State isn't the greatest team in the world, but I do think they're a better team than SDSU. So we'll see what they're capable of. Washington, Cal, 2 teams that are just pretty unimpressive all around. And then Colorado should be demoted to Pop Warner or high school ball because
we need that promotion relegation with the Mountain West. Just relegate them to the Mountain West. Call up, I don't know,
anybody else. Call up anybody.
Air Force on the Pac-12 would be electric.
Steve Hernandez asking if any of us have Arizona beating Mississippi State.
Yeah. I mean, I would be surprised.
I mean, I would be surprised if they won the game, but I wouldn't count it out completely.
No, I would count it out. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Like, this is a team, that SDSU game was their 2nd win in 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's the SEC. I'm gonna be hard pressed to pick a Pac-12 team against an SEC team for the most part, regardless of who they're playing against. So I won't be surprised if they win that game. I think what you saw out of Delora and Cowing was just so impressive. That offense can be really deadly. It's just a matter of their defense can
well, Totri, if this puts anything into perspective, ASU would now 11-point dogs, Arizona only 10-point dogs, 10.5 point
really?
dogs on DraftKings Sportsbook app. Yeah.
11 So it's gone up to 11. Do you think it creeps up any more before we get to kickoff? Maybe 11 and a half, 12?
I think it gets to 12. I said this a couple on Monday. I think it gets to 12. You still got 3-4 days. I think
what I want.
Don't believe in Arizona State.
I see it. You know why? Because like it's time and time again where like ASU will have a decent start to the season, or they're going to run like last year. They were undefeated till that Utah game, or the BYU game. Like you're like, okay, like this team could make a little bit of noise in the pack, and then you just get embarrassed by committing 18 penalties against BYU on the road, and it's just a bad football game.
I hope nobody thought that at the start of last year when you won 2 games that they would make noise in the Pac-12, but
you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
But you're bringing up the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Football is back. I cannot believe we are 24 hours from NFL football. Dude, I'm so excited. You sent a meme in the group chat this morning with what was it, the kid from Toy Story dropping the toy, and he's like, I'm
Woody.
done with you.
I'm
and
done
it's
playing
MLB.
with you. Yeah.
No, 100% agree. First week of NFL season is here. DraftKings Sportsbook app is hooking fans up right now. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. And as an added bonus for week 1, everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. It's simple. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code PHNX and bet on an NFL team to win. If your team leads by 10 at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. That's promo code PHNX on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Guys, do you have a DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week?
I'm sticking with Bills -2. I don't know.
You're going the spread.
Yeah, I mean, if the Bills win, they're going to win. I don't think they're going to win by 8.
Why'd you say it like that, though?
I mean, I don't know.
It's only 2 points. Last time
more I look at that game, the more I like the Rams.
What?
But listen.
¿Por qué?
Because it's just the most typical thing in the world. It's the defending Super Bowl champs. I know they lost a couple pieces, but it's in their house. They've got Sean McVay. I love Aaron Donald. They've got Cooper Kupp. Like, it's a good team. I think the hype may get to the Bills' head. I think the Bills are a great team, but it's tough for me to bet against the defending Super Bowl champs in week 1 when we haven't seen anything else.
First off, you don't know much about the Bills if you think hype gets to their head. If anything, I mean,
it scares them
hype
away.
Ever gets them up. Yeah, but I mean, I think the Bills are the best team in football. I think,
but can we claim that without seeing anything yet?
I mean, I think you can. I don't think the Rams. I don't think the
got
Rams
worse.
Or the Chiefs got better. I think they both got.
The Rams
worse.
got worse. That's a fact.
The Bills got better. I think if the Bills had beaten the Chiefs last year, they would have won the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm still going to rock with the Chiefs. They lost Von Miller and OBJ, who are huge parts of that Super Bowl team. Obviously, the Bills got Von Miller, and maybe we'll get OBJ at some point. The biggest thing for me is Trey White not playing, but otherwise the Bills are completely healthy.
What do you think, Shane? What's your DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week?
Well, I love the promotion, the early cash out promotions, get up by 7. So I'm taking the Bills money line just for that. But my DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week is a parlay on the game of Gabriel Davis to score anytime and Buffalo to win. That is plus 240 right now in the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I think Gabe Davis is going to get a lot less attention, even though the last time we saw him was a pretty insane performance. I still think the focus is going to be on Diggs, and I love my man. I love my man Gabe Davis. I think he's going to score.
I think Gabe Davis is going to get more attention than he did last year, just because there's no Cole Beasley or Emmanuel Sanders this year. Like, he's a clear number 2. But I mean, if we're making parlays, Dawson Knox to score. I feel like literally any week you can bet on Dawson Knox to score, and it's probably a safe bet. Best tight end.
You think he's going to have 17 touchdowns this year?
Maybe. Why not? No, but I mean,
I'm here for it. He's on my fantasy team, so I'm here for that. My DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week, I kind of got 2. I like the USC money line, or the USC spread over Stanford. I believe it's only at 9 points. And I think I like Stanford, but I think USC is this is going to be their coming out party. They're going to show why they're a little bit better than everybody else in the Pac-12, except maybe Utah. I also like Alabama minus 20.5 against Texas. I just don't think that's going to be a game. I think Texas is not back. They're never going to be back, and Alabama's Alabama. I think that's that.
Texas will be back eventually, but yeah, Alabama's going to dog walk this team.
When is eventually? 2035?
No, Arch
When
maybe.
Arch gets there.
I think he can do it because you got a lot of recruits that want to play with Arch. I will say I saw a Reddit post from a Texas person, and they're like, "I just want both teams to have fun," and they're like, "Well, Alabama will have fun," and like, "Hey, we're halfway there then."
Someone's gonna have fun. Hey, and you guys are gonna have fun.
That team.
You'll have fun if you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Again, use promo code PHNX and bet on any NFL team to win. If your team leads by 10 at any point during the game, you get paid instantly. Even if your team loses, that's promo code PHNX on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions do apply. See show notes for details.
Bro,
boys.
I hate Austin Riley.
Why
I hate him.
Austin Riley?
Every time I bet on him, he doesn't get a hit. And then every time I don't bet on him, 4 home runs in 4 games. Like, what are we doing, Austin Riley?
He knows you bet on him. He knows you bet on him. That's
the last 3 times I bet on him. Guess what? Over 5, over 4, over 4, over 13.
That's
what
rough.
are we doing?
That's rough. Brutal. That's real rough, man. Hey, it is what it is. Okay, move on to the next.
It is what it is.
Let's keep it with the Pac-12. Let's see who the Pac-12 imposter is. There are a couple of people that could be at Poor Colorado. Just
don't say poor Colorado. They've done it to themselves.
They have done this to themselves.
Dead and gone on that side of the graphic. Who do you guys, Shawn? I'll start with you. Who do you think after week 1 is maybe getting a little too much hype?
It's tough. I mean, I feel like I know Shane's answer, so I'm not going to say it. Like, part of me wants to say Arizona only because, like, I might be hyping them up too much. Like, they only played 1 game. I don't really know how this is going to go. I think it.
Who's a fraud?
Kind of all of them. Like
the whole conference.
A lot of them. I'm gonna say. I'll say. Wait, who played Idaho? Was it Washington State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Washington State. Like, that was a game that they won, but that was like a really unconvincing win. I just don't. The second half of the Pac-12, all of them are kind of imposters. Well, except for Colorado, we know what they are, and they're really bad.
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah, everyone else is kind of. You look at Stanford, Washington, Cal, Washington State, like, they're all kind of fraudulent. Oregon's also fraudulent just because they were supposed to be good, and Bo Nix is just terrible.
Would you guys like to know mine?
I would.
But I think
I know. It's UCLA. It's UCLA, and I feel so bad for DTR. Carlos in the chat saying UA is overhyped. We don't know that yet, though.
Yeah,
we don't know that yet.
Kind of why I said they might be, because maybe they're not as good as I think they are, but they also could be better than I think they are.
Look. I think that
they're sus for sure.
I think they are overhyped.
They might be the killer.
I think they're overhyped just because they haven't given us reason to be super hyped yet. They won a game. Great. We'll see if they can continue that. Ron, hello. Thank you for joining. And don't call us Ass You anymore, but I appreciate it.
11
That's
points
a good
is
one.
Interesting. Colorado, no. Yeah.
Yeah, Colorado was not good at football. I see both of your imposters in the pack. I do think Washington State is bad. I know that game is what it is. I can see UCLA, like I said, I don't think their offense is sustainable. I don't like Oregon, dude. I really just don't think they're going to be good this year. I know a lot of people have them pegged at number 3 in the conference. I think I started my way too early power rankings with them at number 3 in the conference. I know Georgia's good at football, but come on, man. You got to have something, right? Like, their head coach was just a defensive coordinator at Georgia. You telling me you can't put up 7, dude? I don't know how many times they didn't even get across. How many times did they actually have plays on Georgia's side of the field?
I will say it's so damn demoralizing after the start they had in that game. Bo Nix throwing a pick after they finally got something going. They probably just shut down. It's Georgia. They will stomp on you and they will tire you out just because they're more talented, but they're also just bigger and faster. They just are. Yeah. That's just how they're built. I want to see. I need to see Oregon against a team in the Pac-12 until I say they're not going to be good, because I just don't believe it.
And also, this is
for now
kind of been an underlying theme with what I've been talking about USC all summer. Basically, they could still be the imposter. I still don't know if I should believe in them or not.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I can't call them that, but I can't call them the imposter yet. But I still don't know.
I was gonna say, Totri, I don't mind them covering the spread for your DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week, but I kind of like Stanford first half money line just because of how slow USC started out that game last week.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Again, college football's back, and it's just football being back is the greatest thing in the world. You know what might have helped Oregon at least put 7 on the board against Georgia? Some fucking burritos from Burrito Express, because I know that would have that probably is what got Georgia so hyped for.
Honestly, if you would have eaten the burritos last night before you played the computer,
you're right.
You
are 100% correct. If
Georgia might have had them dogs in them, but if the Oregon had them burritos in them, that's it.
That's facts.
Burritos, dogs.
That's what I'm saying. Look, if you want to beat Georgia, go to Burrito Express. And next time you're at the Tempe location, check out their new custom Burrito Express themed first responder shirt with all proceeds going to the Tunnels to Towers organization. They're only $25, and they're going to hook you up with a free burrito. Get them while they're hot. Only 100 shirts are available. I don't know what else we can tell you guys. If you don't want a free burrito with a shirt that's dope, I really don't know. And it's going to a good cause. Like, I really don't know what to tell you. Definitely go out, check them out. They're great. It's just overall a great partner. Before we get out of here, you bringing up Burrito Express? Just rest. Burrito Express. That should be on all of the computers.
Burrito Express, not the imposter.
Not the imposter at all. They actually made the game.
I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to make a claim.
Oh, God.
You eat Burrito Express, you will never lose to Georgia in football.
Wow. Yeah. So ASU would beat Georgia?
Well,
no, they just wouldn't lose.
Oh,
yeah. I'm confused. I have had Burrito Express, and I'm going to go out. I'm going to guarantee you that I will never lose a football game to Georgia in my entire life.
What about the new NCAA football game?
Nope. Are you kidding me? I'm a dog.
Yeah, we don't lose the computers.
Don't lose.
Okay, dude.
Okay. Not you.
You know who does lose? You know who does stay losing?
Brian Kelly.
Brian fucking Kelly. He stays losing every single day since he decided to leave South Bend, and it is the greatest thing I've ever seen. If you guys haven't seen it yet, the internet decided it was going to once again troll Brian Kelly with his weekly press conference. He decided to show up to his press conference a little bit early, which he doesn't usually do as someone who has been to Brian Kelly press conferences. He's usually a couple minutes late himself. However, he was apparently early. A few media members walked in a little bit late, and he decided to give him a little shit, and one of the reporters decided to clap back. Here's the video.
We'll open it up to this late arriving media crowd that must have enjoyed the weekend. That's usually $10 that we put in the kitty. We'll have a big bash at the end of the year at my place.
Maybe if you win, I'll be on time.
I don't think it has anything to do with winning.
I respect it. I respect that so much.
Dude, she came for him. If you couldn't hear her, she said, maybe if you win, we'll be on time.
Shit, I mean.
The reporter did sound like Emma, Josh says.
Mic drop. You think Emma would do that to Herm?
No.
No. But like also, I don't know, if you're gonna talk shit, win games. It's hard to talk shit when you're not winning games.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, you don't have that rapport yet. You've been there for a couple of months. It's not like you're not South Bend anymore. They got a little bite down in the bayou.
What are you saying about South Bend, bro?
I mean, it's not Louisiana. I mean,
that's fair. He is not liked, dude. He is not a liked dude, like, at all. And like, I get he was joking with the whole $10 comment. Bro, you just got $100-something million contract. Like, you are the last person that should be joking about like people paying money for being late.
That's not the problem I see. The problem I see is even joking about something in general. Like, you guys
not allowed to joke at all.
You guys shouldn't have lost that damn game. Why are you joking about it? Figure it out. Get back on the field. You got a quarterback that jokes anyway. You shouldn't be joking as a head coach.
I mean, if the reporters have to put $10 in the jar every time they're late, Jaden should have to put $10 in the bar every time he gives up on a play too early. All the rules we had for the drinking game, you should have to pay with whatever.
You would have no NIL money left. None.
Yeah. We don't know what he got.
He got something.
Yeah, fair enough.
He didn't get a win against FSU, I'll tell you that much. But it would have been electric to go to that game. That game looked like a lot of fun. There isn't going to be an LSU versus FSU rematch, at least not in the near future. But there are a lot of great college football games, especially for Arizona State coming up in these next couple of weeks. We talked about, obviously, Oklahoma State. You can pass up Eastern Michigan unless you really want to go to that game, which encourage you to go to all ASU games. But they do have Utah. They do have USC. These are top 15 matchups that you are definitely going to want to go see. And if you need a ticket, Gametime is the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. You can save up to 60% on tickets when you buy tickets last minute. It's great for you procrastinators out there. If you love PHNX, then you're going to love Gametime. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. Gentlemen, it has been an honor to do another Hump Day show with you. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No. Let's go Bills, I guess.
Go Bills. You guys excited for Snakes and Lattes tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot about that. Yes. I mean, there's a
playing?
whole, like, F1 themed game that we saw when we were all there. Definitely want to get in on that.
Okay. Well, we can play all the board games you want, and you can lose those, just as I did to Madden. All right, boys and girls, if you enjoyed the show, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils on social. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow Shane at Shane Deef, and you can follow Shawn DePaz at Shawn_DePaz.
You've
Doubting
been off
Bo Nix
lately.
always.
You have.
I have been, but doubting Bo Nix as always, because Bo Nix is not a good quarterback.
That's fair. He's the imposter, and so is Oregon. We will see you guys on Friday, but we will have an audio show for you on Thursday. For now, though, peace.